As far as you're concerned, this pigeon may be one of those cooing nuisances that blight city streets. But to thousands of people all over the world, he's a lot more. A pigeon fancier rates his racing birds, and one like this, as highly as any horse breeder his thoroughbreds. And there are a lot of pigeons. In fact, around the world, 150 million are bred each year. You mightn't think of pigeon racing as the sport of kings, but you'd be wrong. It's the sport of kings and queens too, of presidents and peasants, millionaires and movie stars. The King of Siam had his racing pigeons. Britain's Queen Elizabeth has a loft. So has the man in the street. That's the real attraction, the secret of the sport's popularity. It's classless. It's not you, mate, it's your bird, though money helps. Pigeon racing has advanced in popularity rapidly since the days when the birds were ousted as fast news carriers. There are an estimated 7 million fanciers in the world. In Ireland and Britain, for instance, there are around 200,000, and they spend £4 million a year in feeding the birds. They've got their own magazines, newspapers, and yearbooks. There's a world of a difference between the pigeons who feed on the street and the racing pigeon, and the value of a good long-distance bird would raise the eyebrows of most people. A February sale in Belfast created Irish records. A blue cock, which was sixth in a race to France, fetched £580, and the top 5 birds made over 1,000. A famous English bird, the Flying Dutchman, was sold in England for £900. This, according to Dan Keneally of Cork, one of the best-known breeders and racers in the south of Ireland, was an understandable investment.
When they're paying £100 for a pigeon, it means that that bird is at a winning lot of races. And in doing so, he has increased his value. You understand?
What's the definition of a really good pigeon?
Distance. You see, if a bird is capable of flying, we say 5, 6, 7 or 800 miles, you see, and to repeat the performance. There's no use in doing it once. He must repeat that performance. Then he's good.
How do you go about the training of these young birds?
Well, when they are 10 weeks old, we give them what you call basket training. You put them in a basket all night, so the bird won't be scared of the basket. After that, then we give them, say, 5 miles in each direction, north, south, east and west. After that, then we put them onto 10 miles, 15 miles, 20 miles, 30 miles, 40 miles, and then into the first race. You see.
Is there a great loss to fanciers? I mean, for when you have young birds, do you lose many in the course of races?
Well, you see, you can start off with 20 birds, and you're very lucky if you finish with 10. You see.
And what happens to the other 10?
The other, well, they can be killed by hawks. They can strike telephone wires or electric wires, or they can be shot by the gentleman with the gun under his arm.
Do you find that happens a lot?
That's happening a lot lately.
No one quite knows when pigeon racing started, but you can be sure it was centuries back. Before Pompey's civil war, a good pair of pigeons fetched, in the coin of the time, around £13, and they were for racing, which has never been so popular as it is today. Here in Ireland, it is controlled by the Irish homing unions centred in Belfast and Dublin, and from the end of April until September, birds are sent by rail all over the country and overseas to Britain and France for weekend races, providing, incidentally, about £2 million revenue each year to the railways of these islands. The birds are released together, but for each it is an individual race, for distances to cities and lofts vary. Timing and distances are scrupulously supervised, for races are decided by the number of yards a bird covers in a minute. There are cash prizes for each race, and the Pigeon Classics carry fantastic prize money made up from entry fees and bets of the fanciers. One Scottish race carried a total of £32,000. The English Pigeon Grand National carries £18,000, and some fanciers with a good stable can pick up £1,000 a year in cash prizes. Irish races are not so lucrative, but the Grand National into Belfast carries around £5,000. £500 to the winner, and there can be up to 100 prizes in a race depending on the betting pool. Some fanciers could have up to 20 birds in a race and of course a better chance.
You pick out one bird and you put him for £5. You might also put him in the £2 pool. You see, you pick out another bird, then you might say you put him in the £2 pool and in the pound pool. You see, but how the prize money is picked up is if your £5 bird comes in first of the £5 section, he takes all the £5 prize money, which could run into probably £600 or £700. He could also come in on the £2 pool. You see, and that way he could pick up £1,000 in the race.
And that does happen fairly often.
Oh well, it's happening all the time.
But this
That's
must be
why-
one huge, big, gigantic betting pool, so really, is it?
It is because you say you take Scotland now. It is a big item in Scotland. It is their genuine, their sport. You see.
But can there be sport involved when there's so much betting in it?
Oh, they can, of course, because I mean, you say everybody's waiting to see if their bus come in. They come in first. There's going to be only one winner, and a point of disappointed people, a lot of disappointed people. But the way you look at it is this: every man is out to breed something very good.